If we accept what the Russian scientist Nikolai Kardashev said, there are many civilizations out there that are much smarter than us. Scientists have recently found 7 stars that show signs of being influenced by very advanced alien civilizations. Beings we can't even begin to imagine may have built power plants around these stars, and we are seeing aliens take energy from the stars. It sounds really cool. There are 7 star systems close to Earth that might be home to clever beings that can directly access the power of the universe. Beings of this level are building power plants in the universe while we are thinking about how to save our world and find new energy sources. They use the light of whole star groups or galaxies, and some of these beings are said to have direct access to the grid that made the universe. Right now, the search for life beyond Earth is in full swing. Space telescope James Webb is looking for signs of life on over 1 million other worlds. If we can prove that aliens are doing things, it will be the most important finding in human history. James Webb looks around the area around exoplanets for signs of man-made light sources and biological signals, like a lot of water. There have already been some interesting leads that point to the existence of alien life, but we are still waiting for the final proof. At the same time, other researchers have said something amazing. They have positively identified 7 stars that show signs of being influenced by a very advanced society. People say that these beings are so far along on the Kardashev scale that they may have helped make the world. What does this Kardashev scale really show? Would you believe that since the 1960s we've had a scale that sorts aliens into groups based on how smart they are likely to be? Aliens live in space, but many scientists and NASA still won't even say it. This is despite the fact that we have had a scientifically based classification of these alien civilizations since 1964. The scale wasn't made by a chance researcher or anyone else. Nikolai Kardashev, one of Russia's most famous researchers, came up with the idea of putting alien cultures into groups based on how well they can use energy. A well-known astronomer, he was the first head of the Aerospace Center of the Russian Academy of Sciences in Moscow. Kardashev thought that there must be other living things in the world, but he couldn't be sure. There must be aliens because the world is so big and there are so many stars and planets in it. This is still true today. Kardashev wasn't a dreamer or someone who believed in utopias. The scientist's thoughts were based on reasoning, statistics, and a big-picture view of the world. It dawned on him that the ability to get and use energy is directly related to the development of intelligence. A society needs more energy as it gets more advanced. At the same time, as a species' mental and social skills improve, new ways of making energy become available. Beings that have spiritualized into pure energy are at the top of the scale. It is said that these life forms can even change and use the universe's grid. You can be sure that these living things will no longer build power plants. Instead, they will get the energy they need by changing the laws of physics. Colonies of Type 1 can already use all of their home planet's energy. In this way, they can take care of their world and get along with each other as people. Type 2 life forms have grown beyond their world and are already building things like Dyson spheres that use all the energy from their star. They take their star's energy potential and send it straight to their world. These living things should have an infinite amount of energy from this. There's more, though. There are Type 3 civilizations all over the world. They need the power of other stars and sometimes the power of a whole galaxy. You can already picture where we are now, where people are as we speak. It is a Type 0 society that is going slowly toward a Type 1 society. We know a lot about the world, but there are still some things we can't do to learn more. We have a lot of ideas, but not many facts. To top it all off, we still damage the Earth, use fossil fuels, and build nuclear power plants. We are just now starting to make peace with each other as a people. Sometime in the next 300 years, we might take a big step toward Type 1. There are technosignatures and Dyson spheres and 7 stars. Even though we are behind on the Kardashev scale, we are lucky to have some very smart scientists working on improving our tools all the time. Now, a group of experts from around the world has come up with a way to find Dyson sphere technosignatures. Astronomical scans were used by the Hephaestus project to look at a huge number of stars. The results from the Gaia, TASS, and Y-Sky maps were truly amazing. But there are enough facts to say that Dyson spheres are present for some stars to show such strange changes in their surroundings. Aliens built these circles around stars as a type of power plant. But even with the facts, there are still some problems. Figuring out what Dyson spheres are reliably is hard. Basically, researchers look for things like flashing that makes the stars look less bright. The possible power plants cover stars in whole or in part. If we had definitely found a Dyson sphere, we might have been able to get in touch with a highly intelligent alien species. But the question comes up of whether we could ever get in touch with these people. But just knowing that there are other species that are very advanced could help us grow a lot. We would know that Kardashev was right and what kinds of strange things can happen in the world. The catch is that the star's strange dips that have been seen so far can also be explained by natural things like dust rings around the stars. Periodic dimming can also be caused by nebulae that give off too much infrared light. These 7 stars might have been changed by aliens. A group of researchers put out a list of 7 stars that stand out and are thought to be possible Dyson sphere prospects. Tabby star, which used to be called Kiak 8462852, was at the top of the list. This F-type main sequence star is in the constellation Cygnus. It is about 1,470 light-years away from Earth, and its brightness changed in strange ways. The Kepler Space Telescope was the first to notice the changes. Up to 22% of the values that were thought to be normal or natural were off, which led to different theories. There were different kinds of Dyson spheres and natural causes like comet swarms or dust clouds. The star Epoch 204278916 is young and is in the constellation Scorpius. It is about 400 light-years away from us. This star is just around the corner in space. It scared researchers when this star dimmed up to 65% of the time, and not always. Technosignature should be backed up by long-term data. No matter how powerful our telescopes were, we were not able to definitively show that Epoch 204278916 had a Dyson sphere. The fading could also be caused by big clouds of dust or pieces of space junk. One more possibility, VVV DeWitt D08, showed very strong dimming. A little farther away, in the direction Sagittarius, about 25,000 light-years from Earth, the star's brightness dropped by as much as 97% in a short time. In a strict sense, we also don't know what caused the dimming. Studies have also shown that it might be a good fit for a Dyson sphere, but this has also not been proven. We would need to see the alien's power source or find strong proof for other possibilities before we could be sure. We can only talk about an idea until then, and scientists think that the dimming is caused by a huge cloud of dust or an unknown object. Let's look at TYC 8241-26521. This star in the sign Centaurus is about 370 light-years away, which brings us further back to Earth. It dims and brightens over time, which for a long time pointed to a possible cloud of orbital debris. But it will never be known for sure if there is a large dust disk, which is why the chance of a Dyson sphere is still there. At a distance of about 350 light-years, HD 139139 is a fairly close star. It is a Sun-like star in the sign Libra. It hasn't been explained yet why the star is dimming in strange ways. Several ideas have been put forward to explain the dimming. Some of these are Dyson spheres or pieces of space junk. It has been shown that Dyson spheres come in 4 different types. Freeman Dyson, a scientist, came up with the idea of Dyson spheres, which are interesting hypothetical superstructures. Dyson used the Kardashev scale to make different models of what these alien power plants might look like. All of the different models have been shown to be true through math. They might really exist in theory, and even humans can figure this out with our simple tools. The possibilities and technologies that these very advanced societies use are still up in the air. It's likely that the real options are much bigger than what we know now. First, let's look at the Dyson swarm. The most well-known Dyson model has a lot of satellites or mirrors circling the star in a complicated way. Light is collected by each satellite, which then sends the energy to the planet's population. A swarm is more adaptable than a fixed shell because it can easily grow by adding more sections at any time. Real Dyson swarms might be made up of billions of smaller items, which means that Type 2 civilizations on the Kardashev scale could reach them. The Dyson shell is a smooth sphere that goes around the star. This makes it a closed body in theory. the shell would be able to use almost all of the energy from the radiation because it would absorb it. But this building would need a huge amount of materials and complex ways to keep it stable, which would make it very hard to build technically. The shell would also need to have a way to get rid of extra energy and keep the structure balanced. We still don't fully understand what a shell is, and we don't have the tools we need to make one. The Dyson bubble is a third idea. This is a big screen that could go around the star and use all of its light energy. It is thought to be made of materials that reflect light. In recent years, this idea has gotten a lot of attention, and studies have already shown how to make a bubble for this purpose. It's also possible that these Dyson bubbles do more than just cover the star's energy. They might also change the star itself and the way it sends and receives radiation. Finally, the Dyson circle is the fourth idea. It would be shaped like a ring or an arc, and it would go around the star. It's thought that the idea will be a lot easier to put together, which could make it a step toward more advanced power plants. Smaller pieces of material that makes energy in orbits at a certain distance from the star can make Dyson arcs work. Dyson spheres could be real in space, but we can't say for sure. As soon as more stars are seen, we might be able to show that these kinds of structures exist.